Welcome to Down South Football Podcast. We coming at y'all, man, on this great Wednesday, man. This your boy Renard Williams. We got our boy David Gardner on here. It's a little short this week. We ain't got today. We ain't got all four of us in the building, but hey, we got a special guest in the building. We got the man. This is the man I like to turn to for all my info. I'm trying to tell you, man, if you need inside information about Auburn athletics, about college football in general, make sure y'all holler at the man, Dukes the Scoop. He is Duke the Scoop on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube with the Trust the Scoop podcast. And if you're not subscribed to it, man, you need to get to it right now. Dukes, what's going on, man? Holler at us, man. What's up with you?
Hey man, I'm glad to be here, man. Like, I pay a lot of attention to what y'all do, man. So I was honored when you was like, hey, when you reached out, I was like, oh yeah, definitely. Like, this ain't it, and I hope it ain't no one time thing for real. I really, really like what y'all doing, so I appreciate it.
Brother, no, it won't be. It definitely won't be no one time, man. We really appreciate you, man. We really appreciate you. But hey, it's game week. But before we get into game week, hey, one of the things you're known for is recruiting.
Right.
So give us a little bit on what's new on the Auburn recruiting front. I know a lot of people talking about Amarius Mims, and a lot of other things, Miles Munden, all that kind of stuff. So what you got? What you got on the new on the Auburn recruiting front?
Man, it's not a whole lot really new right now. I will say that so the Mims stuff was like I think I was one of the first to confirm that he visited Auburn last week. And a couple of weeks ago on my show, I was saying be expecting some visitors in Auburn. And I kind of got wind of a couple of guys, but he was one of the guys that I heard that we had very slim to none chance of landing. Mm-hmm. So with him being the first of the projected group to come down to Auburn, I thought it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, really? And so I did hear that they finally have started making a little bit of headway with the mom, who is pretty much like, so his mom is kind of like the person in the recruitment that you really want to be on your side. So I heard that the mom was a little bit more receptive lately. So it's something definitely to monitor. I still feel like Georgia is more of a Georgia-Tennessee thing, but now he's coming out and saying, hey, people are acting like Auburn isn't in it, and they are. And his recruitment is kind of reminding me of a little bit of Broderick Jones a little bit. So I don't want anybody to be upset about me saying that, but I'm just going off of how I feel about it. I feel like Auburn is one of those type of schools that Auburn is to certain guys that want to go to Georgia, Auburn is like the cute girl who goes to the other school that you flirt with every now and then just to make the girl at your school a little bit jealous. So sometimes Auburn gets caught into that. But now here's the point where Auburn usually comes in and snaps you up is like, dang, I just came over to check this place out just to make them jealous. But damn, I kind of like Auburn.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like it down here. And so that's Auburn's biggest draw. So definitely getting him on the campus was huge. I'm not saying that Auburn got him on campus. What I'm saying is that him being on campus is huge for Auburn. So that's definitely a development that I was happy to hear about. Another guy that I heard about that's maybe close to making a decision is Kamari Lassiter, the 3 almost 4-star cornerback. I think he's out of Tuscaloosa, or is it?
Yeah, it's Tuscaloosa, yeah.
Right. So, Kamari Lassiter is a guy that leaning heavily towards Auburn right now. That I'm hearing is leaning heavily towards Auburn, but Georgia hasn't given up. Clemson definitely hasn't given up. And I think that's going to be another one of those type deals where you get the domino effect between Clemson, Georgia, and Auburn with Kamari Lassiter and Nyland Green. I don't think they'll end up at the same school. So I think with all 3 schools recruiting both of those 2 guys, I think you'll see one of those 3 get either one of those 2 guys. My guess would be Nyland Green to Georgia and Kamari Lassiter to Auburn.
That's the same kind of stuff that I have been hearing also. But let me ask you about 2 guys that's here locally here in Birmingham that everybody knows. That's Jeremiah Scooby Williams and your boy Kool-Aid. Hey, when you know just as Kool-Aid around town,
you already know what's going on.
You already know what's going on. I hear very positive things about Auburn on this side of it, for both those guys. But I'll trust your insight on that. What we got on them?
I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing that for Scooby, it's a Auburn, Florida type deal. Georgia's still sniffing around. Seriously doubt he goes to Bama in any way, shape, or form. Kool-Aid, LSU, somebody who's still on his mind heavily. Alabama as well. But I think so a couple of weeks ago, we felt like it was the commitment was soon. You were seeing people start to drop like little gems, like, oh, expect the boom, and maybe this week, maybe that week. So he flirted really, really heavily with a commitment about a month ago. Then he kind of eased back a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, those will be two guys that we'll see in our class. I think that Bruce Pearl is doing an excellent job recruiting Kool-Aid, not just as a football player that we're going to have as a walk-on the basketball team, but as a football player who can really help us in basketball, more so along the lines of a Charlie Ward or a Ronald Curry, more so than just a guy that you will have on the football team that kind of just walks on the basketball to appease him as a favor to Gus.
Right. Ooh, Ronald Curry, you took it back. That's a real good comparison because
Yes,
Ronald Curry could definitely ball on both aspects. So with Auburn recruiting, and I'm just talking about from fans. And I think we all know on this podcast right now how fans are when it comes to recruiting. They always see Bama racking up. They always see this. They always say that. And I tell people Auburn is different. Like Auburn doesn't sell the championships, which they have, but they sell, like you said, you getting them on campus is the big thing. Because you always hear recruits say, man, when I got on campus, I was blown away. So how big of a detriment is that right now with them really not being able to come on campus? I know there's some other small things going on with groups kind of like organizing, but I still see us talent-wise, commit per commit. I still say we got some excellent talent that's coming in, and I feel like we're going to still finish with another top 10 class. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the Auburn atmosphere is something that kind of sells itself and it wants you to get there. So what's your thoughts on where you think we might end up as a class?
So I think I can see us top 10, top 12. I would bet on top 12, but I can see us top 10 easily. Just because our average rate per recruit right now is like still above 90. I think our record is like 91.22 or close to 92 as far as the 5-star composite. I mean, excuse me, the 24/7 composite. So we've never been really below. We haven't really got higher than that, and we're so close. And you still got to think of the guys that we don't have to take a linebacker this year, which is crazy. So that allows T. Will to say, okay, well, you know what? Smile Munson is my guy. Xavier Soria is my guy. Whoever the guy is, I still am communicating with Barrett Carter. I'm still talking to Deontay Lawson because I can go after my guy. So when you see a Big Nail say, okay, well, hey, Amarius Mims seems to be shot away to Georgia, and I think I got to get Ravion Crum because he's in Pinson Valley. No, he didn't say that. He didn't panic. So Ravion Crum has committed to North Texas, right?
North Texas,
and that was a guy that a lot of people were saying, oh, okay, well, Auburn's going to take him. Well, you got to have an offensive lineman. You don't. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is this year. Now, let's say we just want to do it strictly for the numbers, then Malcolm Johnson would have been in this class just to boost our numbers up. It ain't about that. They're not worried about as far as the stars matter when the media gets involved and it's like, oh, okay. When the fans don't understand, that's when the stars matter. But you can be a 5-star bust easily. And we've seen it before. Not to call anybody out, but we had an offensive lineman that was all world, that was all nothing for us. And I wish the guy a lot of luck, and I wish the guy a lot of love and light. But at the end of the day, stars don't make you a ball player. You cannot measure a dog in stars. And I think Auburn does the best job of recruiting the 6 stars, I like to call it, which is something in here that you can't teach. That's how you get a worm starting, a 5'6" tailback. If he was 6'2", he would have been the number 1 running back in the country probably over the last 2 or 3 years. Nobody in that cycle would have been ranked higher than him at 6'2". For Auburn to have the foresight to know that he's the best running back, that he would be the best running back, even at his size, for us to go against in the SEC at this point, it tells you a little bit about how Auburn recruits and about what they're looking for, more so than just, okay, you got a size speed guy. Now we're heading in that direction. You put together the type of season that we can have with the 3 and the 4 stars. That's when you start to go say, you know what, let me pick this guy. Let me pick this guy. Because you got to think, T. Will hasn't really developed. He didn't just have a whole lot of 5 stars when he got there.
No.
When you think about it, Cody didn't just have a lot of 5 stars when he got there, and the guys that he did have didn't pan out. So these guys are picking and developing guys that they know have the skill sets and those intangible tools in order to make them better. So a big shout out to Cody Burns, big shout out to Cadillac and what he's doing already for him to grab on Armani Gooding before everybody else got involved. For him to go ahead and say, you know what, you can commit to me today, even with the blown out knee. I know if you come back, you're going to ball. And what's Armani Goodwin doing?
Balling,
right?
Balling. Man, picking up the phone and hanging it up for some guys because they're like now you're starting to see other people starting to get in on it. So Georgia's starting to sniff around. That's somebody that a lot of people were scared of in his recruitment. But when I saw LSU go so heavy on Armani Goodwin, I said, damn, man, Lack did a heck of a job of having the foresight to know that, okay, yeah, he's 5'8". So what? Yeah, he's a dog. Get him now. Yeah. And I feel like he can end up being a 5-star before it's all over because he's having that type of season. So I know a long-winded response, but definitely I see Auburn having the top 10 class, no less than 12. And that even if we don't, the quality of guys that we're bringing in this class is going to be something that this is one of those classes, and I call it a transition class, because you can lose a lot with this class, or you can build depth, or you can take projects that may not have the skill set of a seasoned veteran at this point, but they have those tools that you can't teach. So one of those guys for me is a Smile Monday. Smile Monday, 6'2", 6'3", 220. He may not be the most natural linebacker, but he has that toolbox, that toolkit that you can develop and produce that natural linebacker. Same thing with Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is not the most natural corner, in my opinion, but he's probably the best all-around athlete in the country, in my opinion. If I just had to get a guy, give him if I took 11 guys and I threw a ball out there and I want to see who could score, no matter what it is, I feel like Kool-Aid might slap a home run. He might dunk the football. I ain't no telling what he'll do. He's just one of those kids that you just see that you put a ball in their hands and something happens. So I'm definitely excited about the talent level that we are recruiting. And just because we may not be getting some of the guys who have the 5-star rankings and, the highest of the rankings, nothing against those guys, but I think that Auburn is really doing a really good job of recruiting who fits their scheme and who they want to be in Auburn.
Right. Well, go ahead, Dave. Dave, go ahead. You good?
I want to rewind the tape a second. You just mentioned Kool-Aid and mentioned Jeremiah Scooby. Do you see? I'm looking because I've seen Jeremiah play often. Had the pleasure of coaching him on a 7-on-7 when he was a young kid. I mean, he was going to 9th grade. He was playing 7-on-7 ball. I mean, he's athlete. So I'm looking at. I saw him recently. I saw him at a visit in early this year in Tennessee, and the kid has really filled out, and I've heard he's filled out even more. I may actually go and play. Actually, Kool-Aid, they play Friday. Pinson and Ramsey play Friday. Tim Keenan, Jeremiah.
Oh, you got to be there.
They play. I'm thinking about going to Legion Field. So my question is, do you see him being a guy that maybe a stand-up type pass rusher, outside linebacker? Do you see eventually him growing into a guy with his hand on the ground? And my second part of that question is Kool-Aid. I just had the pleasure of watching him play about 2 weeks ago. Matter of fact, they beat my son's team by 5 points. We should have beat them. But anyway, he's really impressive on defense as far as coverage. But man, he can go. He has some of the softest hands I've seen in a kid in a long time. So just those two things. What do you think in the maturation of their career? Where do you think they kind of end up and how they fit in on the team if they decide to commit to Auburn?
I think Jeremiah Williams is the prototype for a buck. I see a lot of I can see a lot of Jeff Holland in his game as far as being a guy who has that kind of tweener size. But if he can use his speed to put his foot in the ground and take that angle to the quarterback, I think that'll make him successful. I think what intrigues him is about the multiplicity of defense, of being able to be in a positionless defense. But that's not what we have at Auburn. Now, that's what Florida's telling them. Florida's saying you're the next Isaiah Simmons, right? But every school is telling every player who thinks they can play multiple positions that you're the next Isaiah Simmons. That's the buzzword right now. Now, Auburn we haven't really seen a whole lot of guys that can play linebacker and buck. You usually see them go to one room or another. Another guy that I saw that was kind of similar to this situation was TD Moultrie. I always, and anybody who asked me, and I've been very vocal about thinking that TD Moultrie should have stayed in the linebacker room. Like I saw him when he came out of high school. Was he Jackson Nolan, I think?
Jackson Nolan, yeah.
Yeah. So TD Moultrie, now there's something to be said about maturation. And if you're maturing to be a defensive lineman, you're going to take a naturally different course than if you're maturing to be an outside linebacker, if that makes sense. So I think that with Auburn being able to move the buck around a little more this year, and I think we'll see a little bit of that from what I'm hearing. I think that Scooby is going to be a good fit at the buck. I can't really see him standing up all the time, but I can see him standing up. I can see him putting his hand in the ground and getting up and dropping in the coverage and catching that buzz on. I can see him making those type of plays. Now, as far as Kool-Aid goes, Kool-Aid can play what he want to play if he wants to. Like, it's up to him. Like, if he want to play slot receiver, he can play slot receiver. If he want to play corner, he can learn it. He's not going to be the most technically sound corner, but sometimes you just get those kids that you just say, hey, man, look, watch this tape, do what he does. Don't let him get past you. All right, break. He's one of those guys. I can see him. His body size reminds me of a free safety. I can't really put a name on comparison right now, but I do get a free safety type vibe, more so than those fluid hips. But a lot of people are saying about his hips. I'm like, man, that hip. So out of those hips is coming that explosion. So that's the Euro step is coming out of his hips. So the same thing that we're seeing on the basketball court, some things are just transferable. And when he gets that ball in his hands, like you said, like I seen him, man, he's a threat every time.
Right. Yeah.
Offense and defense. So I could see him. I really could see him playing like a safety. I think I haven't seen him tackle enough to see if how he will fit in that rover or that star or however you want to call it. That hybrid linebacker safety position that we got Ladarius Henderson playing, that Christian Tutt plays, but definitely think that if I had to bet my money, I think Scooby stays at buck, and I think I could see Kool-Aid ending up being a free safety, almost comparable to how Tavares Robinson was when he was at Auburn. So a lot of people know T-Boy started out as a wide receiver. Because he started as a wide receiver, then he moved to corner, but he had his best seasons at safety because he knew all the coverages, and he came up. So I think a lot of people forget, man, T-Boy wasn't no bad safety, dog. Like T-Rod, what's up, T-Rod? T-Rod was a pretty good safety at Auburn. So I can see the same thing for Kool-Aid.
I got you. My next question is, it is game week, so let's transition into a little bit. Of course, we had the release actually about an hour and a half ago of the SEC media standings, and we also had yesterday we had Gus that released the depth chart. I think everybody reporting everywhere their surprises are, of course, Wooden and Simpson, and and looking at the depth chart, I didn't see a lot outside of them two. I really didn't see a lot that kind of blew me away. I guess what I'm asking is, going into this game, as you see some of these people, and I know you know a lot about what you hear, are you expecting any surprises that the Auburn family should get ready for, especially with the Chad Morris offense? Everybody wants to know what we gonna look like, what is it gonna happen, what's your expectations for the offense and everything as we go into this game?
Man, honestly, man, it's kind of, I don't really have a lot of expectations, so to speak, but just because we've got so many guys that it's going to be their first taste of starting action, and so many guys that have it's 2020. Let me say that. So everything's been kind of weird. It's been a little bit off. So just like when we talk about the depth chart, like I was totally surprised to see Tashawn Manning beat out Keandre Jones for that guard position. I heard Keandre had a heck of a camp. So when I saw that, I'm like, man, there's clearly something going on that the coaches are seeing, that they felt like he would give Auburn the best opportunity to be successful when we start. So, I think that's a fluid situation. I think that you could either see him or Keandre Jones flip from either left to right guard. I think and if the NFL hasn't shown me anything for this year, depth is going to be at a premium. Because you're not only battling injuries, we're not only battling rust, we're not only battling just having your like not having a full camp, also battling COVID. Right. So if you don't have guys ready to step up and play, and I think that's why Auburn did a really, really good job of playing the younger guys in the scrimmages and giving 2s and 3s reps with the 1s. Like for example, like Kobe Wooden got extra reps due to camp that he may not have gotten in another season, or when things were kind of more regular, he may not have gotten these reps because they may not have needed to see him, and it would have been Red Newkirk's job just handed to him. But with those extra reps that he got, he was able to show and prove how his weight gain has made him more of an interior rusher, and and for him to be able to stop the run consistently. So even as strong as Newkirk is, and everybody talks about how strong Newkirk is and how athletic he is and former tailback. Kobe Wooden, even with being an underclassman, he was still able to get that start. So I think that if I expect anything, is to expect the unexpected.
Right.
I mean, and Kentucky ain't no pushover. They play really well on the offense and the defensive line. They're gonna run the ball. And last year, if we don't know anything else about Kentucky, is their execution is what allowed them to be competitive, even without a quarterback. They absolutely had no quarterback last year. Their quarterback right now is playing running back for Miami. I think he went to the Raiders and got traded, but they still got him listed as a running back. So shout out to Lynn Bowden. But having Terry Wilson back, and if they can execute the run, we're in for a long day. Now, one thing I am glad about is I don't think there's what I do expect is for you to see the best linebacker play in the SEC this weekend. I think there are not 3 linebackers in the country I would take over the 3 that we have. And that's even up in Tuscaloosa. That's in like top 3. I wouldn't take 3 over him. Owen Papo, freak of nature, freak. And they saying last year, if you notice, when Owen got to certain positions and it was time for him to kind of pull the trigger and make that explosive hit, or for him just to kind of let his hip, like unlock the hips or just let go, he was more so worried about trying to make the good tackle. He was trying to make the form tackle. And if you watch him at Grayson, he wasn't one of those guys that just ooh and ah every time he hits you. He was just one of those guys that was in every play. He was one of those guys that like, damn, how you get there from there? So now, from what I'm hearing, he's starting to pull the pin on that grenade, if you know what that means. So, man, that's one guy that I'm really, really excited to see, along with Sherwood, man. Sherwood is probably, if I had to draft anybody on that whole defense to set up my defense around, it'd probably be Jamie Sherwood.
Okay. I got you. Tuck, I know you had to walk away for a minute. You got any questions for Mr. Dukes right quick?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna see. Y'all probably already talked about one of the most shocking things that I saw on the depth chart was Simpson being a cornerback. So yeah, I don't know if y'all talked about that yet, but I want to know I was trying to figure. All right, so did y'all? So what is your takeaway from what you think is gonna be different from Chad Moore's offense from Gus? What's your biggest takeaway you think we're gonna get from it?
Man, I would say that Chad, from what I heard, was that Chad was going to give more opportunity to Bo at the point of attack. And what I say by that is, so a lot of times in the past, Bo would know where he was going with the ball based on the coverage before the ball was snapped. So when he saw the coverage, he knew where he was going with it. So you give him a certain look, and there's not been a lot of times that you saw Bo Nix turn his shoulders from this side to this side. Usually, you knew it. You could kind of tell where the ball was going. Basically, when the ball was snapped, I think that he has more options this year. I think he can make more calls. Now, I will say, he made some hell of a calls last year that went below the radar because he made the call. But even after he made the call to change, he still knew where the ball was going once the ball was snapped. And if that's the case, then you're pretty much dead in the water. If somebody is playing the same game that you're playing, you're dead in the water if you got one read. And this is one thing I don't talk about a whole lot. But go back and look at last year. You're going to see a lot of guys not finish their routes because they knew where the ball was going based on the coverage. I think this year you're going to see people complete their routes because you have to sell it, because just because I don't get it on this look doesn't mean I won't be the guy who gets it on the next look. And the play, I may not be the primary read, but this year, Bo has the opportunity to hit the third read. We'll see. And it's common sense. If your tight end is not in the route, then that takes away one of your quickest reads. Right. So if you got a tight end so if we're running shallow drags and tight ends, boom, boom, that's 2 reads that can be on opposite sides of the field before you get ready to take the deep shot. So if I would say anything, I would say, and I'll also say with Chad Morris, he's gonna use quick throws in order to protect the offensive line. So usually the offensive line is protecting the quarterback. But if you're not as seasoned as you would like, it's going to be hard to take that 5-step drop. So I think that what they're going to do, you'll see a lot more of the quick game. And when I say quick game, not that little you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to say it but not the okay, here go the fake end around. All right. He gonna throw the ball to him.
Fake Statue of Liberty play. And then after you know what really irritated me, dude? What really irritated me was we get a big play, let's say a 30, 40-yard play, and we run the ball right in the middle on the next play.
Every time.
We wasted the whole down. And other people that are, when I asked that question to them, and one of them is Marcelo. I call him out. I asked him that question, and he was like, "Well, that was their biggest play. I mean, why would you want to question that? Why not question? Every time you're not gonna get 3 yards. That everybody knew that play was coming, and just like you said, the fake end around, the fake Statue of Liberty play. We saw it coming.
Like the window dressing sometimes used to be. So I can't even lie. So. And I'm Auburn through and through. I used to get so frustrated with some of the window dressing that we would see. So last year, just some inside type still, like some inside type stuff. So I don't know, I forgot what game it was, but J Cam was like, "Hey man, why are we doing that again?" He said it on the air, and it was a slip, but he said it. He was like, "Man, why?" I just don't, J Cam, he ain't got no filter for real. Like once he gets out of robotic. Because they done trained the boy to be a robot. So if he's in front of, hi, I'm Jason Campbell. I don't do nothing wrong. But shit, shoot, man. He got so frustrated about that offense that day, man. He was like, man, I don't know what we doing. And he actually got a call, to be honest. Like, he got a call like, dang, man, I thought you was on our side. Yeah, man, it made me look good, man. Give me something good to talk about. Like, so I think that's why Gus made the hire that he made. He ain't stupid. That man went and got Chad Morris because you got to think about it. Ain't no offensive guru going to bring somebody else in their offense if their offense is clicking the way they want it to be. He would have still had Rhett Lashley doing. Now, let me tell you something. Now, think about this. Rhett Lashley took a pay cut to get up out of there, to go to UConn in order for him to have some different ideas about what he's doing. Now we're seeing what they're doing now because the best thing about it, and you can see a lot of the Gus Malzahn influence from what Rhett Lashley is doing, even at Miami, right? And some of the stuff that he was doing at SMU. But the biggest part of that is, and not to get off subject, man, they got somebody who can run it. What good is the read option if it ain't an option?
You just gotta read.
That's it, man.
But dude, I got a question, man. One thing I'm curious about is what with Bo Nix, what is he gonna look like when that defense maybe settle in and they start jumping those shallow crosses or those shallow D's or your pop passes, and they just kind of maybe playing like a cover two shell, just real tight. What is it gonna look like? I mean, I want to see, because again, we're coming off a season where, hey, he just had that one read, and if that one read, shit, something else. So I'm curious to see what that's gonna look like, because if I'm Kentucky and the only game I got to go off of is off last year, hey man, I'm probably gonna sit. I don't know. Once I see them start throwing shallow stuff, I'm gonna sit on it. And once you sit on it, what is it gonna look like? That's what I'm curious about.
So I think the most important, so having what we didn't do a lot last year until maybe like game 5 or game 6 was starting to put Flash and Seth Williams on the field at the same time.
Thank you.
When we had them like you have just one of them on the field, you're taking away, first of all, somebody who could take the top off the defense, off any defense in the country, NFL or pro. So I think the ability to have Flash on the field with a Seth Williams, that's a nightmare. Let's say you put them on the same side. That's a nightmare for the safety to have. Let's say you even run Flash from the slot and run him on the go. Let's just say you just want to get funky and let Seth run the slant with that big body. So I think that what you'll see is, in order to counteract that, they're going to have somebody taking the top off the defense on either side. Whether you want to go Seth or Capers with having that catch radius to try to get them in a one-on-one situation, or whether it be Flash just to basically outrun everybody. I think they're going to have that deep option in order to counteract when they start to go ahead and sit on those shorter routes. Right.
And I agree. You got to have both of those guys on the field at the same time, because
definitely,
if you got it's a huge mismatch with them on the field together. So yeah,
that was probably the craziest thing I used to see last year. I'm like, bro,
yeah.
And I used to wonder, was it just me?
No, not just you.
But one thing I will say is that when you won a national championship with your offense, it's hard to let that baby go. And so Gus been rocking that baby a long time. And so then you come back, boom, same offense. Dang, I went back to the national. So he won one.
Yeah.
And then got back to the Natty with the same offense.
Right.
But didn't have the same. But in those offenses, you had Nick Marshall and Trey Mason, right? And you had Cam Newton, which lends me to think that, come on, man. So when you got that type of talent running the offense, yes, of course. But the common denominator was you had somebody who could take the ball and make something happen when the play breaks down. Now I think that we have somebody who can take the ball and make something happen when the play breaks down with their arm just as much as they can their legs. Now, Bo Nix ain't the fastest dude in the world, but he ain't the slowest either. So I think in order for that offense to go the way they wanted to, he's going to have to keep that ball this year. And I think that was the whole reason that they went out and get a Grant Lloyd and a Kalen Newton. And Kalen Newton he can play a little quarterback. I'm 1,000% positive he's going to decoy at quarterback at least 2 or 3 times this year. Grant Lloyd, the same deal. Like, so I think that just to your point, man, we got to start. We got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. If you got 2 good receivers, it's like saying I got T.O. and Jerry Rice. T.O. go get Jerry. Jerry go get T.O. What?
What?
What? My bad. Hey, Uncle Gus, man. My bad, big dog, man. I'm sorry. I respect you. If you get this, Gus. Hey, I ain't against you. You know, I know you know me, but you know, hey, man. But I'm glad, Gus. If you hear this, we are glad you're making the changes, and that you're doing something that you saw needed to be done. Which you can bring in a fresh mindset that you respect that can tell you, hey, no, I don't think that's it. Because Rhett Lashley couldn't do that. Kenny Dillingham couldn't go to Gus and be like, nah, this ain't it. Well, who's won the national championship? Me or you? All right. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Gus gonna do. He gonna be like, you won how many national championships you won? Oh, okay. So now he's got a guy who's won something, who's developed the Deshaun Watson, who's developed even when he had Taj Boyd had that offense clicking. So wherever he's right. So Arkansas was Arkansas. I get it, but nah, man, definitely excited about Chad Morris running the offense. Now, when we get back together after a couple of games, you may hear me singing a different tune, and I'm gonna keep it 1,000 because I got a few dollars on that Georgia game. So, hey, hey, man, hey, if it ain't where it's supposed to be at, man, I want to come right back here.
We're gonna have you. Got
take back everything I just said. That's what I want to do.
Well, we appreciate the time, but I have one more question before we let you go.
No, sure.
And then we're gonna have you back on as much as you would like to come on, especially talk about the Auburn perspective.
Right.
Who is your breakout player on either side of the ball? Who should fans be like, hey, y'all need to be zeroed in on this guy because I think this guy is gonna I think he's gonna pop this year.
Now give me Sherwood on defense and give me a mix of give me Broderick's Ham on offense.
Yeah, but
no, I think when things come together for him, he may be one of the first offensive linemen we have selected as high as Greg. Now I'm not gonna say that high, but man, if he's where he's supposed to be, that's an NFL offensive lineman, especially at that guard position. So give me Broham and give me James Sherwood.
Let me tell you, when Gus said that Broham was one of the strongest offensive linemen he's ever seen, and don't forget we had Braden Smith,
right?
A couple years ago. Yeah, I was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah,
that?
I mean,
you just
and he had Greg Robinson. People forget.
Right? And, I'm like, Gus ain't good on coach speak, so I was like, okay, he might be. He don't shoot the shit like that a lot. So when he said that opened my eyes up. When I reheard, I was like,
oh yeah, no, I'm telling you, man. Like when I first started this, so in May, I had 50 followers and wasn't nobody paying attention. But I was just tweeting my heart out. Everything I heard, I was just tweeting. That was one of my first tweets that I said was that, man, I heard that if Broderick's Hams get his hands on you, you are dead in the water. That's it. Right. So and just a lot, and I'm gonna go back, and that was just really cool to see a lot of the stuff that I was talking about in May and June. starting to come to fruition. Now it's like, damn, nobody really know he was. What? It ain't no cap in my rap. I'm gonna tell you what I hear. So I mean, if I might be wrong here now and then, but nah, man, like I'm definitely so Sherwood, man. I'm really excited about Sherwood. So when Sherwood got there, the high school coach was always. I followed his high school coach. His high school coach would always talk about, man, if I had somebody to depend on, it's gonna be Sherwood. If I had somebody to do this, it's gonna be Sherwood. And he's such a quiet kid from what I'm hearing. And so for somebody to lead with that quiet confidence and everybody respects him, and man, that boy big too, bro. He's an NFL safety. Like, he could potentially play linebacker. I know what y'all think he weigh? About 215, maybe?
215? Roughly, 215, 220. Yeah, he pushes. Yeah. I mean, he has the frame to add more weight too. So that's why I'm like, I'm excited about him too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's probably my favorite player on defense. I love Smoke. What's up, Summer Hill? Shout out. They're one of my little partners from the west side, but
okay.
Man, but definitely, man. Sherwood, I'm crazy about his game. I'm gonna tell you another one though. I really like Roger McCreary's game, dog.
Man,
like,
what did you talk about?
Man, you ever see them type dudes? It's like they're not the biggest, they're not the fast, they just ball players. It's just like, bro, like look, line it up, make them line it up. Like Ply say, line it up.
Yeah, look. Kevin Steele was very big on McCreary I think he went to Williamson or Blunt. I can't remember.
Yeah, he went to Williamson.
He went to Williamson. He never came off the field. The field. And still was like, I need guys like that. I want a guy who played quarterback, running back, punt, kickoff return, punt return. Those are your best athletes. That's a
they say that boy mama played football, dog. Played football. Straight up. That ain't no cap. They said his mama played football. They really said that boy just a through and through football player, football family. Didn't nobody really want him like that. He didn't care. He, you know what I'm saying? And from what I'm hearing, like he started out kind of like a bare minimum guy. Mm-hmm. And as he started to turn it up, turn it on, he started like, hanging out a little bit extra in the coach's office, watching a little more film. You started to see it. So they had the confidence to throw him against a Jamar Chase. Like, bro, that's big.
Right.
LSU game, bro. LSU would have had 3-4 NFL receivers. Like he's done played the best of the best. So I'm really, and then I think when they lined him up on Pickens, he did all right. So I'm definitely excited to see Roger Mack too. But if I had to pick, and I get long-winded, man, because I'm excited about what I'm talking about. But if I had to pick, give me Sherwood, Broham, and then my honorable mention to be Roger McCreary.
Bet. Well, man, look, I want you to go ahead and take this your time right now to shout out all your social media, shout out everything you got going on. So it's your time, sir. Take it over.
Hey, man, shout out to everybody. No, for real. Man, my Instagram is at Dukes the Scoop. Man, my Twitter is Dukes the Scoop. Facebook, Philip Dukes. Cash App is Philip Says Thanks. Just in case, you never know. You know what's crazy though? Man, folk was telling me like, hey man, you need to start telling folks your Cash App. I ain't think it was gonna be like that, man. These Auburn fans don't be look, they grateful. So hey, anytime, hit me. I'm good. And I'm seeing your message back. You might get a phone call playing around with the kid. You feel me? But no, outside of that, man. I'm really excited about what y'all doing, man. I'm proud of y'all too, man. Cause y'all could have let it go. It's been like a year and some change, right? How long we been now?
Really about 2 years now. This is our second. It's our second official year in this particular format. Yeah.
Right. So y'all could have let it go, bro, but y'all didn't. And if ain't nobody ever told me nothing, and this would go for anybody listening, man. If you continue to do something, you're gonna see the results you want to see. So man, we mashed the gas one for us. So I encourage y'all to keep doing the same thing. And please take me along for the ride, because I see big things for the Down South Football podcast.
Man, we appreciate it, man. Hey. But we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Check us out. First of all, on Anchor, we got any podcast you need. We right here for you. Check us out on YouTube. Y'all know we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hit us up, but hit me up on Twitter at Renard D. Williams. We got your boy Chauncey Tuck. Go and shout out your social media real quick, sir.
All right, it's follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chauncey Tuck, and also Facebook too. So y'all can follow me.
All right, Mr. Gardner. Follow me on Twitter, man. DL Gardner 205. Also, you can find the podcast on Apple Podcast. I found that's actually one of the easiest ways to find. So Apple Podcast, man. But hey, follow me on whatever platform, Day Gardner on Facebook. DL Garden 205 on Twitter.
Hey man, y'all follow the show, man. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we'll be back with some more stuff this week. So just keep rocking with us. We appreciate it, man. Y'all. We out.